The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 2, Castle. Chapter 16. There were at least 20 names scratched into the stone. Tal held his sunstone close, puzzling them out. None of the names were familiar to him until he came to one of the most recent, down at the bottom. When he saw it, he felt his skin go cold and his breath stop. He bent even closer, unable to believe it. Then he touched the stone, hoping the scratched letters might disappear under his fingertips. But they didn't, and no matter how Tal looked, they still spelled out the same name. And he recognized the distinctive curve of the letters. Rerum. Tal's father. He had been here, in the pit. That meant he hadn't disappeared on a secret mission for the Empress, as Sushin had said. He had been kept here until he had escaped. Or something else had happened to him. Tal shivered. He didn't want to think about anything but escape. His father was smarter and stronger than he was. He would have escaped. That was why he hadn't been able to come home. The enemies who had imprisoned him here would have been looking for him. He must be hiding somewhere, waiting for an opportunity to get word to the Empress or his friends. That would be difficult, since some of the Imperial Guard were clearly involved with Rerum's enemies. A terrible plot was underway, though Tal couldn't imagine what the plot involved. Rerum must have discovered something, and that was why they wanted Tal in prison too. Tal felt certain that Shadowmaster Sushin was behind it all. Tal remembered how he'd enjoyed telling Tal that his father was dead, and then giving him the deluminance. Tal looked at his wrist and laughed. The crystal bracelets marking him for demotion were long gone, lost in the fall from the Red Tower. He'd probably be given even more for losing the first lot, perhaps even a full 7, and an instant demotion to the Red Order. Or even 14, and a welcome to the ranks of the Underfolk. Tal didn't care about deluminance anymore. Whoever his enemy was, Sushin or someone else, they didn't care about following the rules and laws of the Chosen. So Tal wouldn't either. Defiantly, he scratched his own name under his father's, using the same worn metal spoon that the others must have used. There was hardly any of it left. Certainly it was of no use as a weapon. Tal had just finished when he heard movement up ahead. Not the solid crash of the guard's boots, but a more slithery sound. Hastily, Tal dimmed his sunstone and put it back in his pocket. Then he lay down on the moldy mattress and pretended to be asleep. Looking up at the pale opening of the pit, Tal saw a spirit shadow peering over the edge, a tall, horned creature that rested its clawed forelegs on the lip of the pit as if it might jump down. Tal kept his eyes on it, and very slowly reached into his pocket for the sunstone, his heart racing. If it did jump, he would blast it. Or try to. But the spirit shadow turned away. It was replaced by a chosen, a glittering figure wreathed in light by the many sunstones on his rings, chain, and staff. The staff was one that belonged to a deputy luminor, with the orange glow that marked him as of the Orange Order, Tal's own order. For a moment, Tal thought that everything was going to be set right. The deputy luminor had come to release him. The guards and the other plotters would already be in the old court, facing up to their crimes. Tal then realized that the chosen above was not Neril, the deputy luminor he knew, who had held the post for many, many years. It was someone else, someone taller and broader, lit so brightly that Tal couldn't see his or her face. Then the deputy luminor spoke, and Tal's hopes were destroyed. He knew that voice. It was Shadowmaster Sushin. Somehow he had been promoted to Deputy Luminor of the Orange Order, and to Bright Blinder, judging from the new, larger chain of sunstones he wore around his neck. But that wasn't possible, or at least it wasn't according to what Tal had been taught. Bright Star was the highest rank in the Orange Order. To go higher, you had to be in the Green Order, at least. However he did it, Sushin seemed expert at getting promotions and titles, since he was a Shadowmaster too, which was a title given directly by the Empress, and usually went with a particular office or job. Sushin had never mentioned what that was. "Young Tal," said Sushin, in the tone of voice a lector might use if he found his students somewhere they weren't supposed to be. "What happened to Neril?" asked Tal, unable to keep the anger from his voice. "The proper Deputy Luminor."
No, said Sushin. "That is no way to begin. Surely you have not forgotten all your manners, wherever you might have been."
"I haven't forgotten," replied Tal, but he made no move to get up and bow. "And even if I had a sunstone, I wouldn't offer light to you."
"Really?"
asked Sushin dryly.
"You are a rude boy."
He held up a chain, and the light from his sunstones dimmed. Even so, it took Tal's eyes a moment to adjust and see what it was. His own chain, and the blackened remnant of his old sunstone.
"What happened to your sunstone?"
asked Sushin.
"None of your business,"
said Tal.
"But it is my business,"
Sushin explained.
"You see, without a sunstone, you are not a chosen, Tal."
Not a chosen. The words went through Tal like a Merwin horn. He was caught now. If he admitted he had a new sunstone, it would probably be taken away. If he didn't, Sushin could treat him like an underfolk.
"As Deputy Luminor of the Orange Order," the Shadow Master continued, "I have to discover whether your loss was an accident, in which case the stone should be replaced, or whether it was deliberate destruction. In the latter case, your demotion to underfolk would be immediate, as would other punishments."
Tal didn't reply. He knew Sushin was just playing with him. The Shadow Master was his enemy.
"I can replace your sunstone,"
said Sushin. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a bright new chain of gold with a large sunstone set as the pendant.
"A primary sunstone, Tal, strong enough to take you and your family into Ioner on the day of Ascension, the day when you become a full chosen, or not. I understand that getting to Ioner is particularly important for your mother at the moment. Or so my dear friends Lenig and Korek tell me. They are so concerned about your family."
Tal looked at the sunstone. It dangled loosely in Sushin's puffy fingers, as if he might drop it down at any moment. "What about Gref?" asked Tal. "What have you done to him?"
"He could be found,"
Sushin replied, not really answering the question. What would I have to do?" Tal asked, his voice cracking. If he got the sunstone and was reinstated in the Orange Order, Gref would be brought home, and together they could take care of their mother. Later he could try to help Mila, find out what was going on, and discover what had happened to his father. But could he trust Sushin?